you are getting way too attached to the outcome. And because you're so married to the outcome, you're skirting around the process and why you're doing it in the first place. So that's what we're going to talk about. Welcome to episode 105 of the Positivity Experience. It's never about the outcome, always the journey. Check it out. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Positivity Experience. This is episode 105. It's your girl, Lori. Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year. We are in a new year. It's kind of a fake thing because time only exists now, but we as humans carry this calendar and this, the way that we do things and set things up based on a new year. So welcome to the new year. Massive shout out to all of the newest Patreon members. Thank you so much for subscribing over on Patreon this week. It goes a little deep and dark, I guess, in a way. But we talk about death of loved ones. How do you process the grief? What is that doing? Why do we actually get caught up in that loop for a while? So if that's something that you deal with and you're not a Patreon, you're welcome to subscribe over at www.patreon.com/the positivity experience. Or honestly, you could just go into the description anywhere that you're getting this podcast right now, and you will find the link that'll take you right there. But yes, that is what we're talking about. And to all of the Patreons who I just started it last year and have been with me from the start, oh my God, I appreciate you guys so much. So I want to talk to you about not getting attached to the outcome. This is a huge piece of why you get stuck. So I want to give you a couple examples of that, right? So like, let's say you say, okay, I have to allow myself to go on this crash diet, go to the gym because I'm going to lose 20 pounds. So you're not actually going on a diet, which I hate the word, but whatever. You're not going on a diet and doing the workout because you're staying in the present space and you're appreciating the journey. You're doing it with this outcome. Yes, we do have to have a goal so we have some direction. So I don't want you to mistake that of me saying you don't need a goal, of course. But you cannot get focused on that outcome because you get so married to what that outcome is going to be that you can't, you're skirting around all of the little things. You're not doing your micro goals. You're not being consistent because you're trying to rush it and you're trying to get married to the outcome. Now, part of that outcome without accepting that the process is the holy grail. Okay. We are going to get married to the process this year. If you're listening to this podcast, if you've been here, if you're new here, it is all about the process. It is the journey. If the outcome comes, it does. If it does not, it does not. But you will have learned something on the way. So I'm pretty fortunate that I can practice more of like a Buddhist lifestyle where it is like always about mindfulness. You guys know I'm a mindful expert. It's about mindfulness. It's about staying present, and it's about not being attached to anything or anyone. So you may hear that and go, oh my God, this person isn't attached. This means they're like non-empathetic. No. We just don't live in attachment issues, right? We don't have an attachment. Well, we have a secure attachment style. So I guess we do have an attachment style, but it's a secure attachment. But you have to stop with the non-attachment to what that outcome is going to be. So what you have to do is you have to have an intention without the outcome, without the attachment to the outcome. So let me give you an example. So I know a lot of you, if you follow me on my Instagram, which feel free to do, official Lori Wheeler, jump over, come visit me there. But if you follow me there, you know, probably in September, I think it was September, maybe early October. I think it was October, where I just started going back to the why. I mean, I still have my Peloton. I still do that, but I was like, I'm going to go back to the why because it gives me time to I work from home, right? I do everything virtually, and it gives me time to get out of the house. I put on something murdery, murder book, murder podcast, something. I'm listening to something murdery at all times. And I can just go, and I used to be a personal trainer in my 20s, so I kind of know how to do it, and I like to watch my body transform, but more importantly is I like how I feel. I like going there. No one needs me. No one wants me. I'm just Lori. I'm just myself. you see the same people. You wave, you hi, you say all of those things, but you're there for you. I don't always want to go, but I always feel more accomplished and better in that moment. Does this mean, oh, I want to be bikini ready by summer? Sure. If it doesn't happen, oh well, I'm going to feel good. See, the problem is you're not getting the intentions on understanding that things are going to take time. And you're going to have to level set that and say, okay, this isn't going to be overnight. Am I willing to do what I'm going to do and appreciate it in that moment? The 5 journals, right? If you go, okay, well, I did the 5 journals like last week. Like it's fine, but I mean, it's not like it fixed everything. It's not going to. That's not what it's there to do. It's there to help you process it. It is, you don't go to therapy with the intentions of the outcome of all of a sudden feeling better. That's right. You heard me say that. You do not go to therapy with the intention of feeling better. You go to therapy or coaching with the intentions of processing your stuff. Yes. What is the outcome after that? Of course, you're going to feel better. Of course, if you're doing the work, you're going to feel better. You're going to get a good reward in it, but only if you do the work. See, you don't get to go to therapy for 3 or 4 months and go, well, I mean, I'm kind of feeling better, but I feel like I'm stuck. Well, yeah. How old are you? You've been this way for how long? And now you want it to be overnight? No, you have to feel it. You have to feel your triggers. You have to process your stuff. You're too married to the outcome of feeling better that you're not willing to say, okay, get it together, girl. Get it together. Get it together and accept that you have to do this work. Your intention has to be in the present space. Know that there's a goal, but let's call that goal the byproduct. Your goal is a byproduct of the journey, right? So you can have an idea, but see, you have to be really careful because if you get so married to the outcome and then it doesn't work out, like this is my plan A, this is all I want in my life, and it doesn't work out, now that's doing massive amount of damage to you. Now you're like, oh my God, I suck. I'm a loser. I'm stuck. This is how my life is going to be. Like now you want to talk about full on victim mentality. There we are. And how do we get there? Because you married yourself to an idea of an outcome. Did you structure it? Did you go through the planning? Did you look and research what it might take you? Are you looking from a reasonable expectation of yourself in that outcome? Because if you didn't, it's irrelevant of that outcome. It's saying, okay, well, when I graduate college, I'm going to go get a job and I'm going to make like $75,000 coming out the box. Okay, well, that's unrealistic. Sometimes you will, and sometimes you won't. Sometimes you will have spent all that time in college and still come out making what you would consider not a good salary. You're still making $30,000 and you're like, why'd I go to college? Well, as with everything, most people, you have to start somewhere. Everybody starts at 0. Everybody starts at ground level. So what you do is you say, okay, I have the knowledge. Cool. I have some things in my arsenal. I'll build on it. Why do you think people change their majors through college? You go, ooh, this is what I'm going to do. And you go, oh God. Yeah, it's not really my jam. I think I'm going to do something totally different. Yeah. Because you got too married. It's like I said, you got married to an outcome and then you were like, oh my God, this isn't what I want at all. And that's good. That's called evolution. That's called growth. That's what we want. So when you're not married to the outcome, you're able to see opportunity. Okay, let me repeat that. When you're not married to the outcome, you will see the opportunity. If you're married to the outcome, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to see red flags. You're not going to see opportunity. You ain't going to see anything. You're going to have a one-track mind. Yes, don't get that confused with passion. That's more control. Passion and control are vastly different. To you, they may seem the same. You're like, well, this is what I need to do. Okay, great. But are you going to embrace the mundane things? Let's say you say, I'm going to start my own business in 2023 or whatever year. Great. So what are you going to do? What's your service? Like, is it a service? Is it an item? Is it like what? So what are you going to do? Okay, well, this is what I like to do. Okay. In your state, are you going to practice in your state? Are you going to sell things online? Like, okay, cool. Are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to be a sole proprietor? You're going to need to get your tax ID. Have you thought about, you're going to have your bank account. Is there any insurances that you need? Like, that's what I'm saying. That's the process. You don't get to just say, I'm going to start my own business and think you're going to blink your eyes and then all of a sudden your business is just going to be there. And guess what? You're going to suck in the beginning. I don't care who you are. Sometimes you're going to be talking to nothing and no one. If you've decided you're going to have a podcast, or you've decided you're going to be a streamer, you've decided you're going to do this, you're going to be talking to no one at first. And you keep going. If you're going to allow yourself to get so attached to the outcome of being a massive YouTuber and not realize that not everybody, every now and again you have lightning in a bottle. Somebody gets viral and they make it. Guess what? That's like minus 1% of the population. But you got to commit to sitting there and doing your streaming and doing your content and doing those things when no one's there. See, that's the thing, is when you're not married to the outcome, you're not going to give up. Nowhere near as fast. So if you're married to the outcome of decluttering your home in an entire weekend, and all you do is 2 drawers, and then you're like, oh God, this sucks. I suck. I'm so bad. Well, yeah, that's because you had a very, very unrealistic expectation. So it's getting married to that outcome that's creating a big problem for you. And you're also not seeing things for as they are. You're seeing things for how you want them to be. That's big in relationships, friendships, love relationships, parental is not a word, parental relationships, because you're looking at an outcome of what you want. But now you're not even in control of that, only on your end. Now you're dealing with other humans. See, a lot of the times you're married to an outcome and you think everybody's supposed to be on the same playing field as you. Everybody's supposed to have the same idea as you. Everybody has the same timeline as you. That is not true. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has their own trajectory, their own timeline. So if you're married to the outcome of like, well, if this person could just get better, we'd have a great relationship. Okay, what kind of an outcome is that? That's just wishing. Well, if I just wait and, I don't know, I can't just leave. I don't have okay, well, you can't just leave. That's true. But what's your strategy? Don't get married to the outcome of being able to leave the situation. Get married to the outcome of the process of getting you back as a human being. Not, you might have lost yourself to the kids or to the family, and you just want to be yourself or figure out who the hell you are in the first place. Well, guess what? Don't get married to that outcome. I can't wait. I just want to know me. Okay, I love that. Now we have an idea and a direction in which way to go. For sure. Let's work on it. And guess what? Your plan A might have to be revised multiple times. It always does. So if you have a plan A and you're like, oh God, that's not working, and you're so married to this outcome, again, you're not going to see the opportunities. So you're just going to throw it right in the trash. And that's the thing. Be flexible. Sometimes getting that outcome isn't going to be A to B. It's going to be A to G to L to S to V and then to B. So it's not getting married to the outcome. It's not even getting married to the process, because the journey itself is going to be fluid. You're going to have to reanalyze. You're going to have to restructure. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, every year towards the end of the year, I like to kind of look at my business. Like, what do I feel, what do I feel went good? What areas you should always want to grow, always evolve. If you ever feel like you have everything on lock, that's a massive problem, because that's definitely living an ego. There's always room to evolve. You as a human being, you as a business person, you as a kid, you can always evolve. Don't judge it. Just look and say, where do I need to tweak? I do it every year. Do I need to change something? Do I need to change something with my invoicing? What am I going to do for my podcast? How am I going to remain 4 episodes ahead so I'm not on the 11th hour of recording? What areas do I need to improve on? Okay, well, that's not good enough. I can't just say, okay, my outcome is come at the end of December 2023, I need to have this done, this done, this done, and this done. Okay, that's a goal. But if I have that goal, it's not going to matter if I don't know the process. And if I get so married to trying to get this done by March, and I get so married to that deadline, and I have to restructure and do all of these things. Now I'm disheveled. Like, I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Because I got too married to that outcome. Right? So you have to be really embracive of the journey. I know you hear it all the time. I know you think it's a cliche when people say fall in love with the journey. But when I tell you that is a part of your mindfulness, that is a part of accepting people for who they are. That's a part of processing what no longer serves you. So here's the thing with that, right? What does that look like? Get really comfortable with the discomfort. Get really comfortable with the unknown. See, the unknown is the land of opportunity. If something doesn't work out, well, that's a lesson. You learn that, huh? You learn, oh goodness, I touched that stove. It was hot. I needed to touch the stove, I guess. You learn something from it. So we don't judge it. We don't go, oh my God, this sucked. I mean, well, you can say it sucked because let's be honest, a lot of times it does suck. But don't live there and go, well, why did this happen? Oh my God, why'd that suck so bad? Okay, what did it teach you? Go ahead and say it sucked. Feel the suck for a minute and say, well, what did it teach me? So that unknown taught you a lesson if you choose to see it. Okay, if you choose to see it, because you're not married to an outcome, you're married to a journey. You know, some of the most beautiful places that I've ever visited, even in this, like, especially in this country, right? Because it's not like I'm traveling all the time, but like, are the times I just get in a car with no direction and just go, you know what? I think I'm just going to go for a drive today. Oh, I've never been down that road. What's down there? Oh, that's a new development. Huh, let's go check that out. With no plan. And often that's how it was when I was in Ireland over the summer. My friend Casey, who I went to Ireland with, she went off on an excursion and I was like meandering around the grounds and I was like walking around and I was going through different things that maybe wasn't even a path that I created. It was just some of the most beautifulest things ever is in the unknown. And what you're doing when you're getting married to an outcome is you're literally putting a roadblock. You're saying, I have blinders on. This is the only thing that I can do. This is the only thing in my sight. And you're not even giving yourself the opportunity. Like I said to you before, if you're married to the outcome, you're not involved with these opportunities. You're not going to even see an opportunity, because if you see an opportunity that comes up and it looks like it's steering you off course and you're like, I mean, that sounds good. I'd like to give that a try. Oh my God, that sounds exciting. But you know what? I can't. Nope, I can't. I got to do this. Yes, we got to have determination. Yes, we have to have ourselves to be disciplined. Agreed. But you have to be careful of saying, I need to lose 20 pounds. It's January. I need to lose 20 pounds by March. Okay, maybe. But so how are you going to get there? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose 1 to 2 pounds. Okay, no, you think you're going to lose 1 to 2 pounds because that's the healthy way of doing it. Sometimes you're going to gain weight and you're going to be like, I don't understand why I'm gaining 3 pounds. Well, there's a lot of reasons. It could be hormones. It could be, did you drink enough fluids? Did you have any salt in your diet? My God, the list is endless. But if you get married to, I have to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week, and then you gain 3 pounds because of something weird or some medicine that you took, and now you got so married to that 1 to 2 pounds. Now, like I said, you're sad. You feel like a loser. You're like, why am I doing this? Like, you got to stop with that, right? Like I said, you got to stop with that. So I want you to get really comfortable with the discomfort. Nothing, and I mean nothing on the planet, in the world, and in the universe grows in the comfort zone. Absolutely nothing. Okay? Absolutely nothing grows there. It's a beautiful place to visit. It's a beautiful place to get comfortable with the newest things that you've acquired in the discomfort, but there's no growth there, right? So it's the discomfort of knowing that if things don't go from plan A, sometimes you don't even have to have a plan B. You just kind of wing it. Some of the best experience you'll ever have. You know how some people are visual learners, some people are hands-on learners, some people are book learners. I'm a hands-on learner. I've always been a hands-on learner, right? Like, okay, now I read it and I understand it, but that's why I put pen to pad. That's why I'm a massive, it's not just for me, it's also psychologically proven that pen to pad, there's a lot. It commits it to memory. It's like psychologically proven and scientifically proven. But for me too, if I read it, sometimes I'll read it 5 times. For one, I have ADHD. Number 2, if I write it down, I'm writing it and I'm cognizant and I'm mindful of what I'm writing. Right? So if you're a visual learner, then you do things and you lean into, and this is a big one, lean into your shortcomings, right? Lean into them. I know if my 5 journals are downstairs, I only have 13 steps. I don't live in a mansion. I don't have an elevator. Like, it's literally just upstairs. 13 steps. You heard me. If my 5 journals are downstairs, I'm going to find myself procrastinating to come downstairs. So what do? I lean into my shortcoming of knowing that I'm a little bit lazy of going downstairs, not really motivated to do it. So I have a set upstairs. So it takes away that. That's called the decision fatigue. I have an entire podcast on that. You want to take away the decision fatigue. If you know that if you get on your phone, you're going to be scrolling for 4 hours, don't get on your phone. Use it as a reward system. You guys know I only spend 45 minutes at best. It used to be an hour. I've cut it back, and I'm going to cut it back to 30 minutes by the end of the year, probably well before then. Because social media is part of my business, but at the end of the day, I don't need to sit there and scroll endlessly. I'll scroll for 5 or 10 minutes, share a few reels, share a few TikToks, look at a few things, and I keep it moving. I know that it's distracting. I know that I'll get in that weird loop that you go and you start watching one thing on YouTube, and next thing you know, I'm watching people create sweaters for crickets. Like, how did I get here? Well, I know with my ADHD that I'm going to be distracted, and it's much easier to sit and do nothing and to kind of avoid it. It isn't in the long run, but it is in that moment. It's easier to avoid it. So be honest with yourself of why you want the outcome. Be honest with yourself of the steps that you need to take, and be honest with yourselves of your shortcoming. Do not judge it. Don't go, what's wrong with me? Why am I so stupid? Why am I doing that? We're not doing that. That's self-loathing. You're not getting any awards for self-loathing. It's not going to help you. It is not productive. Okay. Things are what they are. You have to have self-compassion. It's great that you have compassion for all these other people. It means nothing if you have no compassion for yourself. You should have well more compassion. Apparently I'm down south now. Well more compassion for yourself than that. So you know it, you process it, and then you're kind to yourself and go, wow, and multiple times. I don't care who you are, you, me, anybody, no matter how balanced you are, you're always going to kind of sometimes have to bring yourself back down to base and go, wow, that was a lofty goal. Holy cow. I need to be a little bit more realistic next time. My toxic trait right now is I swear I can crochet anything. Oh, you need this? I got it. Need this? I got it. Now I am learning, and I realize it's not as toxic as I thought. I just need to be more aware that, maybe I'm not going to create that really advanced sweater. Maybe I'm going to start with a little tiny sweater that's easier for me. You know what I mean? So you also have to check yourself in having these grandiose goals, like this grandiosity of like, I can do this. And okay, great. But let's pump our brakes, because everybody, you can't think you're going to start a marathon when you haven't even crawled yet. Like, you don't go from being an infant to walking. You toss and turn a little bit. You get up on your shoulders, get up on your elbows. You do a little scooting. There's a lot of things that come into play before you start walking. And that's the thing is when you're not attached to the outcome, you can see that, you know what, your time frame might be different. That's why I plan for the whole year, right? I plan goals. I plan different things. Now my clients plan themselves because they book online, but I plan the things that I want to do to the end of the year with the understanding that, you know what, things come up. This may not be realistic. And every quarter, so I do January, February, March. The end of March, I go, okay, is this attainable? Is this something I think I'm going to make by the end of the year? If it's not, then maybe I need to put it on the back burner, or maybe I need, it's always reanalyzation. Realizing that the outcome may never change, but the process will. So it's not just getting married to the outcome. It's getting married to, I can only do this right now. If I say December 11th, it's got to be December 11th. Guess what? Sometimes it's not going to be December 11th. This doesn't mean you give up. This doesn't mean that you quit. This just means that you pivot. pivoting is my most favorite thing on the planet. You got to pivot, baby. If it's not working, don't just throw in the towel, just pivot. Restructure. Yeah, it might be a little flustering. It might be a little bit like, oh my God, now what? But things kind of are what they are. I mean, it's not really going to matter. So that's what I mean when you hear me say, don't get married to it. And it's important that when you are sitting in embraciveness, that you're not getting married to an outcome that includes other human beings. Well, I'm going to do this. And then by the time I'm 30, I'm going to have kids. And then I'm going to do that. Okay, well, I mean, and you don't really need another person to have a kid. You could adopt, you can have IVF, you can have all of that. Like, all of those things. But if you're relying on another person, I've had people go, well, how can I convince my partner to have another kid? You don't. My God, how much more egotistical could that be? Well, I want another baby. Okay. Well, did you guys discuss things? Okay. Even if you said you guys want 4 kids, well, and you had 2 kids and you realize it's expensive as hell. It's nowhere near as easy as you thought it was going to be. And now you're really committed to have another one, but your partner's like, absolutely not. Well, you have some decisions to make. You can say, well, listen, this means so much to me. It's for my passion. I'm not asking you to give up on it, but don't bring them into your outcome. Well, I don't want to have, okay, well, you're going to have choices. What's more important? You want your kids to have the same dad or whatever your issue is, or is your passion having the 4 kids? That might mean you're doing it without that person. That's not wrong. And that's why I'm saying, make sure that when you're getting attached to an outcome, it's the process. If you're going to get attached to anything, and accept that your process is your process. Your outcome may not be the outcome that other people want. And before you go, well, but they said that we could have 4 kids. Yes. Well, we say a lot of things until we realize how hard things are. Oh, I want to go live in California. Well, yes, I would love to live in California. It's a little pricey for me. Guess who's not living in California right now? Me. Because it sounds good and that would be an amazing thing. But at the end of the day, it's not realistic today. If I want to make it happen, if that becomes really that important to me, I will work on a strategy to make it happen. It's also not that important to me anymore. I'm getting older. I'm almost 52 years old. I'm not, I got to start thinking a little bit smarter with my finances. And that's just not the thing. So sometimes those outcomes might never be reached. You pivot. You go, okay, well, I'm not going to sit there and be miserable and be like, oh my God, it's never going to happen. Well, I lived in California at one point. I also lived in New York. I've lived in a lot of places. I've also got it out. You know what I mean? You also strive towards reaching your goals, but then you say, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to try something new. But stop thinking that everybody else has to be on that same plan as you. This is your journey. And unfortunately, sometimes the people you want on your journey that started there are not going to remain there. And sometimes people come on your journey that you're like, I had no idea this person was even going to be in my circle. All right. So that's why you have to be open and flexible and let down the ego. That goes into control. I got to do, this is, the control freaks, right? Been there, done that, by the way. The control freaks. No, this has to be done this way. This has to be done in this time. Oh my God, I was a nightmare. I wish Paul was here to tell you. Like when we first started dating, we would go on vacation, it was like a thing we're going to do. Now it's different if you're in Disney or something like that. But like, okay, we're going to do this. Then I want to do this. Then I want to do this. He's like, oh my God, that's not vacation. Let's just wing it. Some things, like if he's going to golf or if Kim and I are going to get a massage or if we're going to, fine. But then we're just going to go with the flow. Not everything has to be meticulously planned and strategized. You will, not maybe, you will miss out on so much. The sky has many beautiful colors, but if you're only willing to see the blue, you don't get to see the beautiful sunset. You don't get to see the amazingness of failing. It's a beautiful thing. Failure and mistakes are gorgeous. They are spectacular. They provide so much knowledge and resilience, and they humble you. They cut you off at the knees at times. Sometimes we all have to be brought back to base, and then you rebuild. You become stronger. You become resilient. Without that, you don't have resilience. How can you? You can't be like, well, I'm resilient. Well, how are you resilient if you don't have anything to be resilient from? So that's really what I want you guys to work on this year. And every day thereafter. Have a goal, but don't poo-poo away the process. Really, before you say, I want to start a business, great. There's a lot that comes with it. I have 2 LLCs. I know. And guess what? I have to pay taxes on both. I have to pay property taxes on both. Even though I do it from my house, they both are separate entities, even though they're under one address. So there's a lot that comes into play. How are you going to pay your taxes? Are you going to have an accountant? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? There's a lot. Get married to the uncomfortable. I promise you, the discomfort is where you're going to build that self-esteem. People ask me all the time, how do you build self-esteem? You do things scared. You fall, you get up, you dust your shoulders off, you have a plan, you strategize. That's how. There's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. Stop trying to shortcut everything. Stop trying to make it happen right now. Stop trying to plan and go, I got to do this. That's like when people get mad in traffic. Okay, so flipping people off and getting angry does what? It's not going to make you get to work faster. It's not going to make the person in front of you not cut you off. It is what it is. If you want to be miserable, be miserable. But it isn't anybody else's job to like come in and take that away from you. If you're married to an outcome, I got to do this. Listen, I'd like to leave my house a little early if I have somewhere to be, because I know things can come up to play, especially in retrograde, but anytime. And guess what? Sometimes things are still going to happen. The other day when that thing happened with that guy that I had to kind of help him and talk him down before he got detained by the police, that threw off my morning session. I ended up not having that morning session. Well, it is what it is. So that's what I'm saying, I'm in a situation where I get called in on crisis or I stumble upon crisis. That's always going to take precedence over anything. And that's exactly what happened. That's the precedence where I had to go and kind of come into action and keep that guy calm so he didn't hurt himself or anybody else. So yes, it cut into my day, but it is what it is. So I want you guys to get very clear that you can have a plan, but that plan does not have to get addressed in the direction in which you want it to be. When you lower your ego, when you allow yourself the mindfulness, and when you allow yourself to reanalyze and reprioritize and restructure and pivot on a regular basis, sometimes daily, that's where that self-confidence, that's where that success, whatever that success is, and that outcome may not even be the outcome. You might take a different detour and you have a whole different outcome, and it's better than it ever was before. So that's your biggest homework, baby, going into this year and every year thereafter and every day thereafter. Never, ever get married to the outcome. Always look and reanalyze and fall in love with the process. Check it out.